Hi guys, Crafty Kim here, and I'm really excited to do another Look for Less challenge hosted by Yami, the Latina next door. And this month is Linda with Faith Chick 777. I think I got that right. I'm super excited to do this challenge. I look forward to these every month. It just kind of pushes my mind to think of new things that I can do that is look for less. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get started. So what I have for you today are 3 DIYs, and they're 3 different signs. Some of the things I used are from Dollar Tree and other things I had in my garage. So let's get started. For the first project, I saw this sign on Wayfair that says choose happy for $56.99, and I recreated it for about $3. So you can find these wood pieces at Home Depot or Lowe's, your local home improvement store. This one I found online is $2.07. I had one in my garage already, and I'm going to be using my wax paper for this project as well. So I needed the board to be 40.5 inches, so I cut it down to size and then measured out so that I had 3 pieces at 13.5 inches each. I wanted the boards to look like the ones that I saw on Wayfair, so I cut the corners just like you see in the picture from the original sign. And then I found this cool technique on YouTube, and I will link that in the description below. You use this wire brush and sand the piece of wood, and it helps to make it look like it's aged, and you'll see here what I mean. Now, I was lucky that my husband had this. I know that this piece is not very expensive to get to if you already have a drill, but there are other techniques to use for aging wood as well, or you could just leave the wood as is. And then here's another cool technique I found on Pinterest, I think it was, where you take some Vaseline and put it on the spots that you don't want the paint to stick to. And I created this kind of aqua color by mixing 2 of my paints, and at first I used a wet wipe. I did the wet wipe on the center of the sign, but for the parts that had the petroleum jelly, I just I used a paintbrush so that I wouldn't wipe it off with the wet wipe. And then once that's all finished, you just use a rag or a paper towel, which is what I used, and wipe off where you put the Vaseline or your petroleum jelly. And it kind of worked. It wasn't as good as I thought it would be, but I don't think I put enough. And I wanted them to look a little more aged, so I took my antique wax by Waverly and used a wet wipe again and just went over the entire piece, kind of wiping off any of the excess. And now to put the 3 boards together, I'm using some leftover paint sticks I had from another project, and I'm using some wood glue and hot glue to apply those to the boards. And I found this cool website where you can print out free fonts, defont.com, and I chose choose happy, and I printed them as 2 separate words so that they would be bigger. My words are bigger than the original piece from Wayfair, but I didn't mind that. And I end up using the wax paper method, as you've seen in a previous video of mine, or if you haven't, you can check that out. But basically you just print it. You have to flip the picture so it's backwards, print it on wax paper that's taped to regular printer paper, and then apply it to your piece, and it kind of works as like a stencil. And usually it's not too dark, so any paint kind of goes over it without any issues. You can use like your fingernail or anything you have on hand just to kind of help push the ink onto the wood. I'm using my Pampered Chef scraper thing that I have, and I'm doing that with both of the words. And then I choose to use white by Waverly to go over the words. You can use cream or, black, whatever color you like. Now I'm not going super thick with the paint, and I actually like that the white is showing with the black a little bit, and it helped kind of make it look like it's aged like the wood. So I don't mind that at all because now I don't have to sand anything. And here it is, finished the way it looks, sort of like Wayfair. Again, my words are bigger, but then I decided that I wanted to add a little bit of twine to the top and the bottom. So you'll see here that I'm just using my hot glue gun and applying that to the back, and then I just wrap it around a few times. And I do this to the top and bottom of the sign, and I really like how this looks. And I'm gonna end up hanging this in my boys' bathroom because they have kind of a gray teal brown color situation going on in there, and I just really love the sign and how it turned out. So tell me in the comments below if you would put the twine or leave it without, and what color would you do the words? Would you do a cream like the Wayfair sign, or would you keep it white like mine, or maybe choose a different color? And now for project number 2, I saw this Tassel Plaque at Kirkland's for $29.99. And I did mine for, I'm gonna say it was under $6 because I had a lot of the stuff already on hand, but I tried to price it out so that if you guys had to buy this stuff, you would know how much it costs. So the first thing you're going to need is a canvas. Now you can choose any size you want. I had a 12 by 16 because I had this 2-pack. My son used one, I used the other. And then I had yarn already on hand, but they do sell it at the Dollar Tree. And then again, we're going to use the wax paper technique with this project, and some wooden beads. Now I had these for free from my mom, but you can get them for $1.99 for 20 of them at Michael's or on Amazon or whatever. So you just want to start by removing the canvas from the frame, and I always use a knife, so please just be careful if you do this. And then we're just tracing out where we want to cut the canvas to fit the frame. Now I'm going to make the tassels. There's many different ways I've seen on how people do this, but I'm just putting the piece of string between my fingers and then wrapping the yarn around all 4 of my fingers about 25 times. Then once I remove it from my hand, I'm using that piece of string that was between my fingers and tying it off. And then to make the top of the tassel, I'm going to take a longer piece of yarn because I am going to end up wrapping this around, and you'll see here what I mean. And once you've wrapped it around as much as you want, just take one of the pieces of yarn that's already there and tie it off. And for the words, remember you need to flip it so it's backwards so we can print it on our wax paper. I just Googled sayings that matched the sign that I found and found this image, and I liked it, so this is the one I went with. And then I'm just cutting it into pieces. Now I put the string under the frame to see whereabouts I wanted that so that I would know where to place my words. And we're going to use the same technique as before, where you just place it down and rub it on to your piece. Now just using my ink by Waverly, you can use any black paint you have. I'm just gonna go over all of the words and I'm just using a small paintbrush. You could also use a Sharpie. I just didn't have any at the time, although my husband did buy me some. And the original sign is natural, but it doesn't really match my decor, so I wanted to make it a little bit darker. So I took the color Truffle by Waverly and my wet wipe and went over the frame and all the beads. And now it's time to add our beads and tassels to a piece of yarn, or you could even use jute string if you wanted to. And I'm just using my crochet needle, but you could just put a piece of tape on the end of it to do this part, and that would work as well. So now I've just laid it down onto the canvas where I want to put it, and I'm hot gluing part of the string down so that it doesn't move, and that way when we put the frame on, it'll stay put. And as you could see, the corners moved on the frame, so I decided to open all the corners and add some hot glue and push them back together so that they would stay put and not move. And now I'm just going to add the hot glue to the sides of the canvas and push the frame down to attach it. I do end up hot gluing the string to the back of the frame as well once I trim off the excess canvas pieces, and then I added a hanger right in the center, so at 6 inches, and just used one of my sawtooth hangers. And this is how it turned out, and I really love how this looks. I hung it in my upstairs hallway so that everyone can see it before they start their day. Let me know what you think about this sign and if you would choose to do it any differently. And for the third sign, I made one for my laundry room. I found this sign on Wayfair for $52.99, and even though mine is not exact, I figured I could do it for a lot less, and it cost me around $3. So for this one, we're using this sign that I got from Dollar Tree, and we are using the twine that it came with, and some floral wire also from Dollar Tree. And then I just used 2 paint sticks. You can get a pack of 10 from Home Depot for 98 cents. And then some wax paper again for the same technique. So first thing I did was sand off all the glitter from the sign and gave it 2 coats of white by Waverly. And if you've seen my previous videos, I do this faux galvanized look with the following colors, and I'm going to show you here how I do that. And then I had this sponge from Dollar Tree, and I decided to use this, and I cut it up, and I really like how it worked. And for this printable, I found on this website called the Navage Patch, and I will link that in the description below. And again, printed it backwards onto my wax paper. And now I'm just gonna cut it out and put the pieces onto the sign. I wanted to show you this part because the letters on this one got a little smudged, but I just took a wet wipe and kind of blotted it, and you don't even end up noticing this once the words are painted. And now using my color Burnt Umber, I'm going over all of the letters because I wanted this to kind of have a rusty look, and I do end up doing this around the edges of the sign and just kind of all over the sign to make it look rusty. To do the lines in the center of the sign, I'm just using my ruler and I'm going about a ½ inch on either side. So to add some highlights to the sign, I'm using White by Waverly, and I'm going around all of the design and the words on the sign. This just kind of helps make everything pop. And I would like to add that I did end up adding those 2 little squiggly designs that are on the top of the sign to the bottom as well. I just didn't record that part. And now we're going to move on to making the hanger. I marked off where I wanted to cut on the paint sticks, and I just used a utility knife for this, and it seemed to work pretty good. And then I just sanded all the pieces down once they were cut. To make the top of the hanger with the floral wire, I just wrapped it around one of my paint bottles to get that shape. And now I'm just bending the top with my pliers to create that little loop at the top of the hanger. Now using my ink by Waverly, I'm just giving that 1 coat of paint, and then for the hanger I just used my wet wipe and my antique wax and gave that each a coat as well. And now I'm just going to hot glue this top piece to attach the hanger pieces together, and then hot glue the floral wire to the back. And now just using that jute string that was already with the sign, I cut it in half and I hot glued it to the back of the sign and then wrapped it around the hanger and hot glued the other end to the back of the sign as well. And then just added a little bit of extra glue to that so that it would be nice and secure. And here it is all finished. You guys, I just think this turned out really cute. I did end up dry brushing some white on the hanger. I didn't record that. I apologize. It was kind of an afterthought. But I can't wait to put this in our laundry room. We are redoing our laundry room, so it's going to look super cute in there. And I really hope you enjoyed this. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. And I hope everybody has a great day. Thank you.